What's going on, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs, your family-oriented entrepreneur. Welcome to another podcast episode. This is the Business and Investing Podcast, where you learn all things business and investing related. So today we have a heavy hitter on the line right now. My man is coming up in the ranks, doing his thing, and he specializes in land. I know a lot of you guys have been hitting me up asking how you could get started in the land business. I have content on YouTube on land investing, but I decided to bring somebody who is killing it right now in the game on the line to discuss how he's uh, flipping land and making a lot of money doing it, to be frank. So we'll talk about his journey a little bit. We'll talk about how you guys can get started from A to Z. And we'll also see how you can get in contact with him in order to really get your income up through land investing as well. My man Elijah Bryant, what's up, bro?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Man, it's a pleasure, bro. It's a pleasure. So I reached out to my man Chris Bruce a couple weeks ago, and I was looking for somebody that really understood the land business and that's really doing a thing with it. And Chris, without even thinking about it, he said, "Yo, my man Eli is that guy." So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man?
Yeah, so my name is Elijah Bryant. I'm born and raised in Staten Island, New York. Shout out to New York City.
New York, New York.
You know. But right now, I'm based out in Tampa, Florida. And, I started off doing houses. Uh, around 2020, that's when I got my first house deal, made my first 14,000. I was super excited about that. And then the rest of that year, I was doing houses, but at the end of that year, it started like drying up. And then that's when I had a group a circle, a network out here. They were doing land. They was killing it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me try it. Pulled that first list. Actually, the lead was already in my database. I just put it to the side, because I didn't have any land expertise. But, consulted with them. They told me it was a deal. I found a builder that next day, and in 30 days, I made $6,000 from that first deal. And then from there, I couldn't go to sleep. it was like gold. It was like hitting the gold rush, So
So let me ask you this, bro. What year was this?
so this was 2020 going into 2021.
Nice, man. So still relatively new to the business. How long ago you started real estate investing?
Yeah, so I started real estate in 2019, right? Hearing about it on YouTube, trying everything in the book, driving for dollars, pulling lists. Actually moved to 3 different states, chasing that first deal, doing houses.
Mm-hmm.
So it took me a year and 6 months from actually first hearing about real estate and trying it to actually getting my first deal. And that
Got
was
it.
the house deal that I did.
Got it, man. Yeah, as you know, I'm from Brooklyn myself, man. We spoke about that a couple of weeks ago, but it took me 13 months to get my first deal in New York City. And then after that, I did probably 20 deals before I left New York, and then ended up in Pennsylvania for about 8 years. And that's where I really scaled. Bought a couple of hundred houses out there, and now I'm here in North Carolina, just killing it. But it's just nice to see other people from where I'm from that's actually doing it and helping other people do the same thing. You know what I mean? So you got your first deal in 2019.
No,
Um,
so the first deal was 2020.
2020.
Yeah,
Okay. You started in 2019. You
started
got
in
your first.
2019. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Now, what were some of the obstacles that you faced? Because I know you said you moved from state to state. What were some of the things that really stood out to you that other people should hear as they're building? Because it took you a year and a half, right? You could have quit long
Yeah.
before that year and a half, like most people do. But you overcame some obstacles which led to your success, man. So, like, what were some of those obstacles that you faced during that time period?
Yeah. So this is with houses, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
2019, doing houses in Du Bois, I actually, right when I got the course, I didn't waste no time. I was taking it. I was applying action while taking the course, so putting out bandit signs, we buy houses signs. Got
Mm-hmm.
my first call. went to go check out the duplex lot, got it under contract at a lower price, found a buyer for it on Facebook Marketplace. But in that area, you needed to do a smoke test. Like
Mm.
the county, the area, they required a smoke test, and the house failed. And I didn't make any money from that deal, but it gave me that like proof of concept. I put all the pieces together, and if it would have passed, I would have made 5,000 while playing ball. So I had to overcome that. And then when I moved, after the season, I moved from Pennsylvania back to New York. Now, while in
Mm.
New York, it was higher price housing. I actually had a driving for dollars deal out there. It didn't go through, but I found the seller.
In New York.
Yeah, in New York City, in Staten Island, New York, there was
Mm-hmm.
like a abandoned house right next to a store. So reached out to the seller, True People Search, got it for a low price, got it under contract. He was in Atlanta, Georgia, and then I reached out to the store owner of next door. Went to the store, built rapport with the person at the deli, and then I got them under contract for a higher price assignment. That deal didn't go through because of the liens. So these
Mm.
was like obstacles that I had to go through, and then that's when I seen Dan Green talking to TTP, Brent Daniels, telling him how he moved from Jacksonville to Tampa, Florida, and he made 300,000. So that's when I hit him up and was like, "Listen, I'll work for you for free just to learn the game." And then that's when I moved to Tampa, Florida.
Got you, man. So obviously you started taking some action, and I tell people, it's interesting that you're mentioning this because I tell people all the time, if you're going to take on a mentor, bring something to the table in order for the mentor to be able to work on. I don't recommend, and I could be wrong with this, but I don't recommend people trying to get a mentor from scratch. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because I think people need to take some action, get build up some momentum, and then the mentor could then fill in the pockets for you. You know what I mean? So like you mentioned, you started taking action. You had a home study course. You did what the home study course was talking about, but then you ended up um, reaching out to this guy Dan Green in order to be able to work for him for free, and that's kind of like a mentorship. You know what I mean? Where you was able to take it to another level at that point, man. Is that when you started the land business?
So now, from working with Dan Green, we parted ways because I sucked on the phone. I never had a sales job. I was playing ball growing up, so I never had a sales job, so I messed up a lot of his good leads. So that's when
Mm,
we had to like basically part ways. But he still mentored me, as I'm
mm,
growing my business. Got a couple house deals that first year. I did 12 house deals, 2020, and then that's 2021. The right when the new year started. That's right when I started land, and that's when I made that first 6,000. And then from there, it's just been back to back to back. For the last 3 to 4 years now,
got you,
doing
man.
this.
Now, what interests you in real estate in the first place?
Oh, so from watching the videos, people talking about you don't need no cash, no credit,
Mm,
you just need hustle. So I didn't believe it at first, but after driving for dollars and putting abandoned signs in Pennsylvania and New York, I noticed that you don't need no money. You just need to know the knowledge and have
hmm.
the drive to make it happen, to put the play together.
Got you, man. What part of PA were you in again?
In Du Bois, Pennsylvania.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went out to Pennsylvania. You started getting your feet wet there. You said you were in three different states, obviously New York, Pennsylvania. Same as me, man. I went from New York to Pennsylvania. Now I'm here in North Carolina, but you out in Florida,
hmm
right? And I'm assuming Florida is kind of where you really um, cut the rug out there, right?
Yeah, so moving to Florida, I just had a bigger network of everybody doing real estate. So in New
Mm,
York, nobody really knew about wholesaling. It wasn't like a
mm,
big thing in New York City, particularly, right? I couldn't find a group, a network of people doing it. My friends, they worried about other things. So I knew I had to be around the people that was doing it. So that's when
mm-hmm.
I went out on meetups, and I went to these meetups that they would have on meetup.com. And that's when I was building relationships with other wholesalers and real estate investors in Tampa, Florida.
Got you. Got you. Now Now, this is your first time. I know you mentioned that you weren't necessarily a sales guy, right? This is your first time actually doing sales. Was it an easy transition getting into the sale? Because, honestly, for everybody listening right now, whether you know it or not, real estate, whether you're investing or you're brokering or whatever the case may be, it's a sales job. That's exactly what it is, right? It's a sales business.
Yeah.
Um, was it an easy transition for you to go from not really being great at sales to making money as a land investor?
Oh, so well, nah, it wasn't, to be honest. Me being the only child, I
Mm,
was alone a lot of times, right? So I'm in my thoughts a lot of times. I didn't really know how to express myself, and
mm,
let alone persuade somebody into selling me their house or their land, right? So it did take its time, throughout that time from Pennsylvania, New York, Tampa,
hmm
Florida. I'm making these calls and I'm getting better at the sales. And then eventually, once I got into the land and then I understood the land, because I tell people, once you understand the knowledge on what you're saying, it makes it so much easier in the sale,
hmm
right? So once I started understanding the process even better, that's when I started getting deals back to back to back. Yeah,
Got you.
yeah,
Got you, man. Let's talk about some of the pros and cons of land investing, man. I see a lot of pros and less cons with land investing. One of it, I'm not going to give it away, but one of it being competition.
yeah.
Um, but let's talk about some of the pros and cons of land investing and why people should really be considering land investing right now.
Yeah, so I would say the pros is, like you said, not that much competition. It's not that saturated. There's not that many people teaching, especially, us, right? So that is one thing. You don't want to really do what everybody else is doing. You want to find a niche that not that many people's doing. And then within
Hmm
land, the land that I focus on is infill scattered lots. So that's even a smaller niche within the land business. So that's where I feel like people should focus on. Another thing is the conversations. There's no house built. You're not talking about the condition. You're not talking about the bathroom, the kitchen, things like that. You're getting straight into the conversation, depending if it's well and septic or city water and sewer, right? So it's a easier conversation. And then a
hmm
lot of these landowners, they bought a lot 30, 40 years ago for $1,000. Now it's worth 100,000, and you give them an offer for 65, $65,000. That don't sound bad to them, but you guys can make the profit in between as well. So that's what I noticed with land. And then it's virtual. With houses, I used to have to drive an hour out to, Orlando or Central
hmm
Florida or St. Petersburg. With land, I traveled at least 15 different countries over these past 3 years because I can make money virtual. I never have
hmm
to see the land because that's what the builder does. I just have to negotiate the deals with the vacant land owner and then bring it to the builders to make my
That's right.
spread.
Now, what would some of the cons be?
So the cons is you're gonna have turtles, right? Endangered species. If there
Hmm
wasn't for these endangered species, I'd probably be multi millionaire. I had to cancel a lot of deals because of endangered species like gopher, what's it called? Turtles, and I
hmm
forgot what they're called, but burrowing owls, things like that. The slope sometimes, like if you're in North Carolina, I actually closed one of my bigger deals in Statesville, North Carolina. But what I noticed in North Carolina is slope. It's
Yeah.
hilly. So a lot of builders, they may not buy on those lots. So you have to
hmm
find those very particular buyers that are buying in those areas and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. So why don't we provide our listeners with let's say a 5-step process to go from where they are right now as a beginner to getting their first deal done as a land investor? What would you do first?
It depends. Do they have money or they broke?
Let's assume in between.
Okay. So what I would tell them, right, is
Let's
first,
say let's go with the broke thing. I think there's more people with less money right now. So
yeah,
let's go with even if you're broke right now, how to get your first deal done.
yeah. Let's say you don't have a dime in your pocket. but you still want to make something happen, what you could do is first, I would say, is you have to figure out a market, right? So first things first, what I do when I'm looking for a market, I go on Zillow. I see the lots that sold in the last 30 days across the nation, and I pick pockets where I see a lot of lots sold, right? So now that we have the market, I want to reach out to builders in that market. Reason why I want to reach out to builders before the vacant owners is because I want to know if it's a deal. I want to know what prices I have to be at to make offers. Because once you get the criteria, you know exactly what to focus on. So I want to reach out to the builders, see what price they're paying, how many lots they're looking to buy in the next 30 days, and then what zip codes are they focusing on right now. With that information, I know exactly what neighborhoods to focus on and the prices. So then now that's when I, reach out to the vacant land owners. How you guys could reach out to the vacant land owners for free is using OfferUp,
Yep.
Facebook Marketplace, and Craigslist. One of my students just last week, we closed a deal together. She found on Facebook Marketplace two deals. I've had the builder and we made 6,000 on it. Both of those deals. So there's a lot of ways in this business where you could get deals for free. And then another thing is these land groups. A lot of people, they don't really like doing reaching out to the builders. So they may have a vacant land owner, and you may have a builder that you could provide for them. And this is how you could joint venture with them as well and make money.
Absolutely, man. So the first step would be to find your buyers first. We call it, reverse engineer wholesaling or reverse wholesaling, however you wanna play it, right? But you find your buyers first. You find out what they want, and then you just give it to them, right? You find out, you find exactly what they want, and you present it to them,
Yeah, I
right?
tell
Because now
people.
you have your ammo up front, right?
I tell people we are order takers. So each month, my builder would give
Mm,
me a list of areas he wants to focus on, right, throughout Florida. He says, "I'm paying 40,000 in this area. I need 10 lots for this month. I'm paying 30,000 for this area. I need 3 lots this month in this area." So all I do is now I reach out to the vacant landowners in those different areas, and I
yep,
make the offer. So if they say they want 100,000 in this area, let's say Port St. Lucie, right? They're paying 100,000. All I'm doing is offering every vacant landowner in that area like 85,000,
that's it.
and then whoever I get, I make 15,000 per deal in that area. Whoever agrees, and
So how are
sometimes,
you going about finding your initial area then?
yeah. So you could, like I said, reach out to the builders, Zillow. So
Just go to
Zillow.
So all you're doing is going to Zillow looking for builders in Florida, and then or whatever state you want to invest in, and then you reach out to them and they tell you exactly what they want, right?
Yeah, so I go on Zillow to pick the area. So
Okay.
once I find the area, now I go to Google and I reach out to the builders there. So let's say we're using Port St. Lucie as an example, right? I'll go
Hmm.
to Google and I put, spec home builders
Yeah.
in Port
Yeah.
St. Lucie. And then I'll contact every builder that pops up in Google and ask them, those questions I told you.
Got you. Okay. So
Hmm
then what are you doing if you were broke right now? What do you do? Obviously you have land groups and you have are you picking up the phone and just cold calling?
Yes.
What do you That's how you're doing it, right?
So my marketing funnel, I always start off with text messaging,
Mm-hmm.
because texting is like the fastest, easiest way to, message a seller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the people that don't answer my text messages, I put them in the calling system, the dialing system, and this is when I cold call them, right? Now, the people that don't answer my text messages and cold call, I send them a letter in the mail. But
Yep.
what I'd like to do is I like to send them a Google Street View picture of their lot, because a lot
Yep.
of people just send them a letter in their mail. But when they see my letter, they see a picture of their lot. They're like, "Dang, I ain't see this land
Mm-hmm.
I own in 30 years. Like, you actually went to go check my lot out, right?" And I didn't do that, but I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say nothing. And
Well,
that's
you
how.
know what's so crazy, man? Like I take the same exact approach, but with houses, man. And I
Mhm.
and I do land as well. But you're right, man. The response rate when you show them a picture of the house, it skyrockets because of it, right?
Yep. So this is when they call me, and then I tell people like when they call you, they're usually motivated because
Yep.
people don't like I don't even like ordering food, right? I ain't like calling the piece of delivery to order food. So people don't like doing the work.
Hmm.
So if they're actually calling you, they're pretty motivated. So I tell people like, don't jump on it right away. Just let them know, like, hey, Susie, I know we sent you the letter in the mail, but we don't buy every lot, we come across and we look at. So I have a couple qualifying questions before I could give you an
Hmm.
official offer. And then
Got
I
it.
ask them these questions. And then I try to get them to say their price first. Honestly, the questions is just to build rapport so I
Yeah.
can ask them, did you have a price in mind for this lot?
That's it, man. So step number one, find the buyer. Step number two, reach out. Right. Well, you start off with the texting, then the
Mm-hmm.
cold call, then the direct mail. The reason why I like that order is because texting is, like you said, the most inexpensive way to reach out. Then you can pick up the phone and call. It takes up a little bit of time, but what you're doing is you narrowing down your leads. So when you do send out the direct mail, it's not as expensive. So you're not reaching out to thousands of people at one
People,
time,
exactly.
right? And you get to make a more meaningful letter to the person that you sending the letter to,
Yeah.
and then they reach back out. So that's step number two. Then number three, obviously you have that conversation with the sellers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then like the reason why I like the approach that you took as far as finding the buyers first, you don't necessarily have to come up with some creative formula in order to really be able to make an offer. If you know you got a buyer at 100,000,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take a lot of brain power to say, okay, if I pay 85, I got a I got a deal. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you don't need a fancy formula or anything like that. But with that being said, are you using a certain formula to make your offers?
Now, so I usually pick areas where I could offer the same price to every person. So
Mm,
I don't have to figure out what ARV and things like that do the
yeah.
15% rule. Now, there is certain areas where I made money where there were different pricing.
Mm-hmm.
A quick tip I could give people is usually from what I noticed from doing this land business this last 3 years is builders like buying at least around 10 to 15,000 more
Mm-hmm.
than the assessed value. So when I'm calling through Mojo and I click Zillow, Zillow will bring me straight to the lot and it will give me the assessed value of that lot that I'm calling. So if
Mm-hmm.
I know the assessed value is 20,000, I know my builders typically will pay around 35,000 for this lot. So if I don't know exactly what to offer, if I pick an area where some lots is worth 50, but 3 blocks down they're worth 30,000, I'll just offer around the assessed value because I
Got you.
know it'll be a deal if I get it for that price.
Yeah, that's solid, man. And then once you get the deal, you get it under contract, then you just presenting this with the presenting the builders with the deal. And I'm sure they don't buy every lot,
Yeah.
but how often are they buying deals from you?
So I actually just sent my builder a deal right before we hopped on this call. Well, I
Mhm.
sent it to him yesterday and he just hit me up right before we got on this call. And I
Mhm.
sent it to him. He's buying lots in this area for 58,000. We got it for 48. And I sent it to him for 58, and he said that it was in the flood zone, that he would have to be at 50. So now in this situation, it's still a deal. We'll make 2,000 from it, but this is where we go back to the seller,
And you renegotiate.
renegotiate,
Yep.
show them that it's in the flood zone. We have to be at around 42 or something like that.
Mhm.
So now we can still make that spread of 8,000 or 6,000, whatever the price was.
Right. And
So
you create a larger spread that way. That's right, man.
exactly. So that's what I like to do. When the builders give you in a report, anything that they say in the report, I'm going back to the seller and then reiterating it to the seller
Yep.
to get them down a little bit because it's the truth.
Yep.
It's in the flood zone. Typically we don't buy in the flood zone, but we're still interested in your lot, but we just have to be at this price. We could close in 30 days if you're willing to do that. And then
That's right, man.
usually they're willing to sell.
Absolutely. And you do the same thing with houses, guys. Same thing with houses as you would do with land. Elijah, he really just gave you the game plan with houses and land. I mean, it's pretty much the same exact approach. The
Yeah.
difference is with land, you can lower your competition. There's a lot of benefits to doing the land business. It's a lot easier than houses, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
I wish when I started with land. And the reason being is because, with houses, you're gonna get a lot of people cursing you out, hanging up on you. It really feel like a battle every single day. And
yep.
with land, it is a battle, but it's an easier way to get your feet wet and then slowly gradually get into like doing houses and other things, right? I think
Hmm.
land is the foundation, right? So I think it's the same thing with real estate. It's one of the easiest ways to get in, especially if you don't have that much money. And now, like we're talking about, it's very similar process with houses. The same
Yep.
marketing funnels I was doing with houses, I'm doing with land. It's just a little bit different knowledge. But
That's
once you
right.
get that knowledge, you could really take off like a lot of people has been these past 2 to 3 years.
That's right, man. Another good thing about land is the the property owners are not getting income like you are from rental. Like, let's say for example, somebody owns a house, they could
Mm,
get rental income from it. On land, they're not getting that income. They're actually paying taxes, and they paying to maintain the land, prevent code violations and stuff like that a lot of times. So with them, they'll be more willing to have that conversation with you, in order to see what you offer and to see if they could get that property sold. It's the same thing with like new builds, and new builds versus fix and flip. To me, a new build is easier than doing a fix and flip because you could count your costs down to the penny. With a fix and flip, once you open up the walls, I'll give you an example. I got a property we rehabbing right now, termite damage throughout almost 25% of the house. I couldn't calculate that. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So it cost me more money. With new builds, you have it. So with land investing, you know you got the sellers that are probably going to be a little more motivated, and they're not being bombarded as regular homeowners are, right?
Mhm.
With new builds, you got you know um you, you can calculate your cost down to the penny. So with land in general, to me, is a better approach. I think a lot of people fear starting off with land because they don't know. You said it just takes a little bit of knowledge, a different type of understanding to be able to get into something like this, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of knowledge out there.
Hmm.
So once you put the pieces together, this is where you could really take off. What I love about land is, like I said, you could do this virtually. All you need is a phone and a laptop. And
Yep.
there's around 18,000 across this United States of infill lots that sell every single month. So I
Hmm.
tell people, like, you telling me 18,000 lots is selling and you can't get one or two of those?
Right.
Warren Buffett, he just invested 700 million into DR Horton. They're
Hmm.
starting to raise their prices where they was telling me they was paying 100,000. Now they're paying 125,000. So I want to get, if Warren Buffett invested 700 million, I want at least 10 of that. And
That's
that's
right,
to me
man.
even thinking small. Why
Yep.
not? So there's so much
And
opportunity.
what's so good about that, man? And you're right. The prices are going up on land because the builders are raising the prices on homes as well. What you were able to pay 400,000 for right before the pandemic is now
Hmm.
750. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? But at the same time, man, you got to think about the shortage of homes that are on the market right now. This is why land investing is really prep for growth over the next few years. Like, you should be killing it if you're a land investor right now, because new construction builders, I'm one of them. I build new homes, right? We're turning it up with new construction simply because there's a shortage of housing on the market. So the more land you have access to, you can present these to the builders. They're willing to pay top dollar for this land because they're gonna make a whole lot of money on that land. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So it's just a great business all the way around, no matter how you look at it.
I want to say
You
this
know?
one thing. So that same area I was telling you about, right? Port St. Lucie.
Mm-hmm.
Within the last 2 years, when I first started, lots were selling for around 25,000. My builder said he was paying 25,000 in this area. I seen this area go from 25,000, now it's selling for 125,000.
Mm-hmm.
So throughout that time, those people that was like, we want 35 for my lot. Call me back when you could do 35. Soon it went to 50,000. I was calling them back, locking it up, making 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 on these deals. And there was a lot of areas in Florida that did that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I tell people, make sure you're tracking your areas. Like if you look at my database, I still got, you know, how many lots sold in particular areas from last year and how much they sold for. Because I make the most amount of money, two things, right? I make the most amount of money when I pick an area that lots are selling, but not that many people are making offers. And then the second one is when these prices go up in a particular area, like Port St. Lucie. It went from 25 to where the builder was paying 40, to where the builder was paying 65, to where they was paying 90, and now they're paying 125. Over the past 2 months, 3 months, this summer they were at 80,000. So now they're paying 125 in that area. And that price increase, that's equity for us. That's how you could get multiple deals where you make 5 or 10,000 and they add up.
Absolutely, man. But it all starts with knowing how to do it, right? So, how can our listeners get more information on what on you and your socials and stuff like that in order to be able to get started in the land business?
So first, I would say follow me at Thy Book of Eli on Instagram. Also follow my YouTube channel, EDB Academy. I do a lot of interviews with other land investors. I did over 30 interviews with my students and other people that's been doing it for years. So there's great info in that. And then every Sunday at 7 p.m., I do a free class breaking down step by step on how to make a play happen, especially if you guys are broke. Because I started off broke, so I know where you guys are coming from. So I try to help you guys as much as possible because this is right where I do my podcast. And I tell people one of the best feelings I ever felt in this universe was when somebody called me up and told me that they quit their job
Bro,
and they made six figures off of the information I taught them. And now they're living in the same high rise I'm living in right now. So it's a blessing that I'm
bro,
able to do this right now.
nothing like it, right, man? It's almost like better. It feels better than when you did your first deal, man. I
Mm-hmm.
can't even explain it myself, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just a different feeling when you able to help somebody else
Mm-hmm.
and they succeed with something that you showed them, man, and then they get to change their life. Not
Yeah.
there's no other feeling like it. I can't even explain it myself, man. I appreciate you saying that. It shows that you really do care about people and their success too, man. Um, so I'm gonna link everything that Eli is talking about in the description box for you guys to be able to get in contact with him. Make sure you reach out to him. Here's a young guy who's coming up in the ranks. His students are succeeding. Um, they're making money. He's not the only one making money doing this, and he's in a business where I think this is prep for growth over the next couple of years. You should be at least considering land investing right now because of the reasons that we spoke about on today's podcast, right? The competition is low. You don't need a lot of money to get started. But let's say somebody did have a little bit of money. What approach would you take if you were them trying to get started and they wanted to speed up the process a little bit?
Yeah, so what I would say is, right, start off with one market, depending on the replies that you get from that one market, double down.
Mm,
Start doing two or three markets. So the reason why I do that is because you want to pick one hot market, right? Where guarantee if you find a deal, you could sell it quick. But you want to also find these secondary markets where you feel like not that many people is making offers, but there's land selling. Because
yeah,
that's where I notice where I make a lot of money. I like to pick markets where I feel like nobody posts online, but I see a
yeah.
good pocket. Like I'm gonna give you guys an example. Probably nobody ever heard of like Calabash, North Carolina, right? But
I haven't, and I live here.
exactly. So, but it's a pocket of lots selling in that area that I'm working
Mm,
on. So I like to pick markets where I feel like nobody's heard of, but I see 20, 30 lots just sold in the last 30 days. Reach out to realtors, build a connection with them because you'll notice these realtors, they love working with us because if I could add an extra 2 or 3 thousand to what they're making right now, that's good business for them. So I reach out to them and then they let me know about the market, what I have to be aware of, and what areas to focus on. So now
that's
I'm
right, man.
getting more intel on a particular market without even being there.
That's right. Build a team, man. Are you
Mhm.
doing any creative financing on any of these lots?
Not yet. So we're actually talking about this right now because we have a lot in California, but in California we have to buy it before we could list it on the market. So we're thinking
Hmm.
about doing some type of owner financing because we
Hmm.
think it's a smoking deal. But just because of the time of the year, somebody may not buy it right away. But we
Right.
definitely know we could sell it. So we might present a owner finance or seller finance with the seller.
That's right, man. And one more thing, bro. Did you have to be an expert in order to really know how to get your first deal done?
No,
Like, did you have to know everything? Did you know everything about land before you made your first dollar?
nope. So, like I told you, I went to my network that was doing land. I had this deal in my pipeline or this lead because I didn't know it was a deal, right? They told
Hmm.
me, you could possibly sell this. I went to Google, reached out to every builder on that Google, and I found that one builder. I made 6,000, and at end of the year, that builder paid me over 250,000.
Man,
So really all you have to do is make that one connection. Now I tell people to get multiple builders, but one connection, one builder could change your life. So
absolutely.
you don't really
You
have to be the expert. You just got to put in the action.
That's it. So at the end of the day, man, like you don't need thousands of buyers and thousands of builders on your buyers list. All you need is, honestly, I've been wholesaling and real estate investing for over 20 years, man. I probably do business with 3 to 5 people. I don't do as much wholesaling as I've done in previous years because I'm actually the buyer, and I try to keep a lot of stuff. My business model changed a little bit, but as you if you have 3 to 5 solid buyers, they'll buy everything from you. That's all you really need. And
Hmm.
that's basically what Eli is saying right here. That one builder made him $250,000 at the end of that first year. You know what I mean? So that's what you want to focus on. Building that relationship with solid builders at the
Yeah.
end of the day.
I didn't start looking to builders until like 2022, the end of
Mm,
2022. So I've been using that one builder for like a year and change, and I'm still using him today.
yeah,
But that's when I started building up my builders list. Once I built up that rapport with this one, and you know, presented him as much lots as possible.
that's right. And then at the end of the day, too, what happens is like once you start expanding your business and you start looking in other markets, your builders list is going to naturally grow.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you might have one builder in one area that only focus on that one area. When you start tapping into other markets, then you need to find other builders. So this is how you build your relationships and
And
build your network
and
up.
this is why this is so important, especially for our people, because we're not exclusive with this one builder.
Hmm.
We could get deals everywhere.
Hmm.
So we're really like I said, we're order takers, but we freelancers too. As much as you put in, that's what you're gonna get out of this business. But
That's
if you
right.
put in a lot of work, if you stay consistent, like if you go from that freshman year to sophomore year, by junior year, I could see you doing like real big things. Cause I seen people turn up their freshman year of doing
Hmm.
this. Uh,
Snowball.
Exactly, the snowball effect. So, like the same way you guys take your time in high school, college to prepare yourself for a profession, do that with this. See it as a
Right.
freshman, sophomore, junior. By senior year, you're going to be killing it in this
Yeah.
business. You know,
A lot of people, and I see I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, But do you agree that a lot of people quit too early? Like they expect the success to happen right away and don't give it enough time to really be able to build that success?
Way too early. I wish you could show this diagram. I know you've seen it before. The guy chopping at the dirt, right
Yeah.
before he gets to the diamonds. I tell people this business is just like this because
Hmm.
you never know when that next call is going to come, and that next call could be 20, 30,000. I'll tell you how there's one story, right? So it was this one time I was having a long day, making cold calls. It's Friday night, I had plans to go out. It's about 7, 8 o'clock now. So I'm like, I'm turning off my phone, like I'm getting ready, right? But my phone rings. And I'm like, damn, do I pick this up or do I just let it go, get ready? Like something told me to pick it up, right? So I picked it up and it was actually a seller wanted to sell his lot. My builder's paying 60,000 in this area, so he's talking about his lot. I kind of cut him off, like, and basically just asked him the question. What price do you have? What price did you have in mind for this lot? He paused for a second because he really didn't want to give his price first, but sometimes you gotta ask them because
Hmm.
a lot of people are nice. They're not gonna answer your question with a question. So
Hmm.
he paused for a second. He was like, I want 40,000 for it. If you could do 40,000, mind you, my build is at 60, so I'm hyped right now. So I just let him know, like, let me speak to my manager. Usually we pay around 35,000 for these slots, but let me speak to him, see if I could get him to 40. If we could do 40, would you be willing to move forward with the process paperwork today? He was like, if you could do 40, I'll move forward right now. I muted that phone and I'm hyped, screaming. And I made $20,000 from that deal. So I tell you guys this, like, you never know when that deal is gonna call or when they're gonna pick up. So just stay consistent and stay at it. Do not give up. Especially
That's right.
don't give up early.
That's right, man. Congrats on that deal too, man.
Thank
But
you.
like you said, man, you just got to stay in the game, right? And when that phone ring, you never know when it's going to happen. You just got to be ready for it. So
Mm,
it's better to be stay ready than having to get ready, right?
exactly. You know how it go. You gotta stay ready.
That's
Gotta
right,
stay
man.
prepared.
Now I know you have a program, but what books do you recommend our listeners at least take a look at in order to really get their mindset right for this type of investing?
So I would say think and grow rich. I always tell people that's first and foremost because you got to get
Mhm.
your mind right, right? You got to think and grow rich. So you got to think about the process first and be intentional. I
Mhm.
also say how to win friends and influence people because me personally, like I told you, I was the only child growing up. So I
Mhm.
had to learn how to connect with people, how to listen, how to change my tonality because it's not really what you say, it's how you say it. So that's another book. And then a sales book would be Never Split the Difference.
Mm.
You guys,
All great books.
yeah, you got to work on the negotiation. So I remember my first negotiation, like I felt like my heart stopped. Like it was like I choked up. So, with reading books and then practicing sales, it helped me get prepared for whenever a sales call comes up that I know what to say and just be confident. You can fake confidence too because these people can't see you. They're
That's
over
right.
the phone. So
It's kind of like the actor in the play, man. You only know you messed up, but the audience don't know it. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Yeah, for sure, man.
Right.
Now, if you had to provide our listeners with some last words of advice, what would those words be?
Oh, you know, just keep going, right? A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. You got
Mm,
to make that first move before you get the momentum and the snowball effect. So, just take that first step. And I feel like as you're going, the right uh, the right opportunities, the right people is going to come across your path to make this happen much quicker. Because that's what happened with me. It was a slow, gradual process, and then it just shot up. So that's what I see happen to a lot of people. They struggle maybe their first month or two, and then that third month they just made $30,000, which paid off those last 2 months. So
right.
that's what this business is. It's a up and down, but when you win, you win. So
That's right, man. I like to equate. even marketing, for example, or time invested to putting money in the bank. Yeah, you might not see the money right away, but the time you putting into this or the money you spending on marketing, if one deal is gonna get you all of that back, it's gonna be worth it. You know
Right.
what I mean? But a lot of people just don't stick around. They rather spend the money, or they'll rather invest the time but not wait around long enough to be able to get that investment back. This
And I
is an
want to
investment.
and I want to say another thing because this
Hmm.
happened to me. After my first couple deals, I fell in love with the money in the bank.
Mm,
I saw a number that I put in my mind, and I fell in love with it. I didn't want to get it under, but nah. As an entrepreneur, we're always reinvesting our money.
that's right.
So when you guys start closing deals, don't fall in love with it. Always put it
Hmm.
back in the market, and that's how the market is going to yield you a result and bring it back to you. What you put in is what you're going to get out of it.
That's it, man. Couldn't have said it better myself. Elijah Bryant, everybody. Look, make sure you check him out on all social platforms. I'm going to have all of that in the description box for you to be able to reach out to him. Um, I know that his students are winning right now, and you might have seen some of his ads on social media. I mean, he's running a lot of ads right now, and he's killing it. And there's a reason why people are responding the way they are. Is because he's somebody who's actually doing it. You guys know I love to bring people who's actually doing what they say they do, just like me. We're all cut from the same cloth, right? And at the end of the day, if you guys just follow what we're talking about and you take action, you could go from where you are to where you want to go as well. But make sure you check out Elijah on all social platforms. Make sure you check out his program as well. I'm going to have all of that in the description box for you. And listen, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell, and share this with as many people as possible. You know why? Because other people need to hear this to change their life as well. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this podcast episode. I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Take care.
Yes, sir.